Unexplained green fireballs tore across the New Mexico sky in the late 40s. Thunderstorms are firing off invisible gamma ray bursts powerful enough to create antimatter. Scientists don't fully understand how or why. And in 2009, the sky over Norway lit up with one of the most otherworldly sights ever recorded. These are times the sky did something no scientist could explain. Between late 1948 and early 1949, people in the southwestern United States, especially New Mexico, reported these bright glowing green balls of light shooting through the night sky. They moved slower than regular meteors and sometimes flickered on and off. Lincoln LaPaz, an astronomer at the University of New Mexico, studied them and noted their unusual behavior. The US Air Force launched Project Twinkle to track and investigate the phenomenon. They held meetings at Los Alamos with scientists including Edward Teller, who was famous for working on the hydrogen bomb. But they never figured out exactly what these green fireballs were. Some thought they were caused by secret Soviet tests, because that was always the go-to when something unexplained happened at the time, but that's never been proven. This one is still a complete mystery. Terrestrial gamma ray flashes, or TGFs, are these short, intense bursts of gamma rays that come from thunderstorms. The gamma rays are a super high energy form of radiation that humans can't see, but satellites can detect. Scientists first discovered TGFs in 1994, thanks to NASA's Compton Gamma Ray Observatory. Since then, missions like the Fermi Gamma Ray Space Telescope have found hundreds of these bursts happening every day around the world. But they only last milliseconds. The bursts are so powerful they can create antimatter particles called positrons. Researcher Michael S. Briggs from the University of Alabama in Huntsville is one of the scientists who helped reveal the connection between thunderstorms and TGFs. His team showed how changes in electric fields during storms produce these gamma ray flashes, sometimes called dark light because they're invisible to our eyes but still super energetic. So scientists have made progress understanding TGFs, but they don't know everything, like how exactly the storms generate such intense gamma radiation, or why it's only some storms that produce TGFs. On December 9, 2009, thousands of people across northern Norway and Sweden saw this giant blue spiral spinning slowly in the sky for about 10 minutes. This eerie spiral stretched for miles, with a bright beam of light shooting straight up from its center. People had no idea what they were looking at. Some were amazed, some were just terrified. Was this an alien portal opening up? Some sort of strange experiment? Something supernatural? Well, astrophysicist Jonathan McDowell later explained that this was the result of a failed test launch of a Russian missile. According to him, a malfunction in the missile's third stage caused fuel to leak and spray out while the missile spun rapidly, creating that enormous glowing spiral effect as the fuel burned in the upper atmosphere. The Russian Defense Ministry also confirmed this a few days later, so alright, this one's explained. But, I mean, look at this. How could I not put it on the list? This footage is unlike anything I've ever seen. There's videos of people watching in utter terror, screaming as they look up at the sky, and you can't really blame them. The official story makes sense, but it doesn't take away from how otherworldly this sight was. Ball lightning is one of those strange natural phenomena that scientists can't really figure out. It's described as a glowing, usually spherical light that either hovers or actually moves around during thunderstorms. There have been reports of ball lightning for hundreds of years. Sometimes it's as small as a pea, other times it's as big as a basketball. What makes ball lightning so tricky is how rare and unpredictable it is. There aren't many reliable scientific observations. In 2012, Chinese researchers published a paper in Nature after capturing high-speed video footage of ball lightning in a controlled environment during a thunderstorm. They recorded glowing spheres about 10 centimeters in diameter, lasting for several seconds. Still, no one's nailed the exact cause yet. Some scientists like John D. Abramson think ball lightning might happen when lightning strikes make tiny bits of silicon that glow in the air, but even the NOAA admits ball lightning is still a big mystery because there just isn't enough solid info yet to know for sure what's really going on. Earthquake lights are these rare, mysterious glows or flashes people sometimes see in the sky before, during, or even after an earthquake. Earliest known record goes way back to 869 in Japan. Since then, there have been reports from all over the world: Mexico and Peru, New Zealand, China, the US. Lights usually look like shimmering bluish or white glows, sometimes flickering like lightning, or it would just stretch out like auroras. They can last a few seconds, or in some cases minutes. What's weird is that these lights have been seen both really close to where the earthquake hits and sometimes hundreds of miles away. For example, lights were spotted over 400 kilometers from the 2008 Sichuan earthquake in China. Skyquakes are these sudden, loud booms that seem to come from nowhere. Well, more specifically, they seem to come from the sky. There's no known cause. People have reported them around the world, places like New York's Finger Lakes, Japan, Belgium, Indonesia, tons of other places. The strange thing is, skyquakes don't come with thunder. Lightning. They're not caused by explosions, but they've been known to shake windows and rattle people's houses. Scientists have tried to pin down causes, like maybe they're caused by meteors exploding in the air, underground gases releasing suddenly, or seismic activity underwater, but none of these explanations fit every case. One famous historical report is from 1804, when the American explorers Lewis and Clark, famous for mapping out the western US, heard these cannon-like booms near the Great Falls in the Missouri River, but there was no known cause. It's very strange. They've been reported for hundreds and hundreds of years, but since they leave no trace, scientists still don't fully understand them. On the evening of March 13th, 1997, thousands of people in Arizona and Nevada watched this massive formation of lights in the sky. There were two main events. A V-shaped set of lights silently moving across the sky, followed hours later by more stationary lights hovering over Phoenix. Arizona's governor at the time, Fife Symington, initially mocked the reports, but years later he admitted he saw the formation himself and called it, quote, otherworldly. The US Air Force later said the lights were, just flares dropped by aircraft during a training exercise, but that doesn't really fit the descriptions by people on the ground. People reported the lights moving silently in a perfect formation, and sometimes blocking out stars, which flares are not known to do. The Phoenix lights are still one of the most well-documented mass UFO sightings in the United States. Thousands of photos and videos were taken, and a bunch of credible witnesses came forward. And this leads well into our next point. In the last few years, the US government has straight up admitted that they've been tracking things in the sky they can't explain, what they now call UAPs, or unidentified aerial phenomena. Since around 2020, the Pentagon group called the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or the AARO, has collected hundreds of these reports. A lot of them turn out to be things like drones, weather balloons, camera glitches, but not all of them. One of the most famous cases is the Tic Tac incident from 2004. Navy pilots spotted a white oval-shaped object off the coast of California. It had no wings, no visible engines. Somehow it dropped from 80,000 feet to just above sea level in seconds. Commander David Fravor, one of the pilots, said it moved in ways he'd never seen before in his career. During a 2003 Senate hearing, Pentagon officials said some UAPs show flight patterns that don't match anything we currently know. They also admitted they still don't know what some of these things are. They're not saying it's aliens full on, but they're also not ruling it out entirely. On the morning of June 30th, 1908, something exploded over a remote part of Siberia called Tunguska. It was massive. The blast was so powerful it flattened around 80 million trees across an area bigger than some major cities. People living hundreds of miles away said they saw a fireball streak across the sky, followed by a shockwave that shocked them off their feet and shattered windows. But there was no crater left behind, no giant hole in the ground, no big pieces of a meteor, nothing that you'd expect after something that powerful just crashed into the Earth. Most scientists think it was an airburst, meaning a space rock, probably an asteroid or comet, came in really fast, heated up, and just exploded in the sky before it hit the ground. There have been other cases where people have seen fireballs in the sky with no debris having turned up, and some researchers have some pretty wild theories about this, like the mirror matter theory. The idea here is that there could be a kind of dark matter that could theoretically pass through our world without leaving much behind, but that's way out on the fringe. Finally, fast radio bursts are incredibly brief but extremely powerful bursts of radio waves coming from far outside our galaxy. They last just milliseconds, but they pack more energy than the sun produces in a day. Scientists first noticed them in 2007, and since then they've picked up hundreds more, all coming from galaxies billions of light years away. The most common theory is that they're caused by magnetars, which are basically the leftover cores of massive stars that exploded. When one of those stars dies, its core collapses into a super dense object called a neutron star. If that collapsed core also has a crazy strong magnetic field, it becomes a magnetar. When that field shifts or cracks under the pressure, it can blast out a massive burst of energy, like the ones we detect as FRBs. The thing is, some of these bursts repeat over and over. Not all of them just happen once. We still can't explain why. Well, I've been your host, James. I'll catch you, yes you specifically, in the next video.